I am here today with Caroline Smith, who is one of our volunteers, and she has just won our Outstanding Contribution Award for her volunteering with us. Hi, Caroline.
Hello there.
Maybe you could just start off by telling us a little bit about your own MS journey and who you are.
I'm Caroline, and I've got secondary progressive MS. Initially diagnosed 2008, transferred quite quickly from relapsing to secondary progressive, which I don't know. For me, it's quite good because I don't get relapses, and I like that. I know a lot of people find it quite stressful being secondary progressive, but I think I don't wake up with the worry of relapses, which is good. I used to work in the NHS. I was a dietitian for 23 years, but my MS kind of meant that I could no longer do that, and I retired in 2013, very long time ago, so it seems. I don't know where the time goes. So then I was looking for other things to do, and that's when I started on this journey.
And we're so grateful for having you. When did you first hear about the MS Trust? Was that sort of around time of diagnosis, or?
I actually knew about the MS Trust because of work, because as a dietitian, we did work with people with MS alongside many other conditions. And so I was aware of the MS Trust. And then, when I was diagnosed, I was given the leaflets and pointed to the decisions tool for DMTs and all of that. And you've got other leaflets, and as I was going along, there was always at the time I was at Addenbrooke's in Cambridge, and there was always a load of different booklets in the waiting room, as well as you being given them from the MS nurses. So.
When did you decide that you wanted to volunteer with us?
I'd started after I retired. I started being a sort of a patient representative in some events in the east of England. My GP kept volunteering me to do things. You get going, oh, you'd be good at that. And so I was doing that, and then the Forward View project came up. And I have to say, it was one of my friends who had seen it and sort of, sent me the link and said, "Oh, you should apply. You'd be good. You'd be good at this." I tend to go along with things. You people talk, "Oh, you'll be good at that. Go for that." And so that was, when I first thought, "Oh yeah, I could actually volunteer." I hadn't actually been actively looking for volunteering, but it was something that I'd enjoyed doing for the other things that I'd already started to do, and it gives you something to do.
And that project was running for a little while. What did you do in that project?
It was mapping services and working with the nurses, looking at the way forward, working with neurologists, and so there was 3 of us with MS who were the sort of the patient representatives, if you like, on the big steering group, and then we were involved in sort of side projects, and then fed back into the group and everything. And it was a really lovely introduction to the working with the MS Trust, because we were really listened to. And I think it was one of the first times that you as the MS Trust had kind of worked with patient representatives in that way. And so everybody was kind of all learning together.
Yeah.
But we were really listened to, and it was really nice seeing the effect that we kind of had on the project. And so it was, a very, really positive experience. And I think that hopefully from both sides that the MS Trust got sort of as much sort of out of our involvement and the involvement of the wider community as we got out of it as well.
Yeah, I think I remember when it was set up, because I was involved in sort of setting up some of the groups that you were chatting in. So I think that was one of the first times I do remember seeing your name around there in that group. I mean, project went on to sort of steer a lot of the decisions on how the MS Trust was, helping out with placing new nurses and everything. So I think it was a massive, big project, and the involvement from the volunteers and people with MS was super important. And like you say, it was one of the first times we've actually had it sort of really have that much engagement from people with MS. We've always had people reviewing our literature and things like that in the past, but this was just like a proper working group.
Yeah, it was very much jointly collaborative, and what I think really sort of stuck with me was that when it was kind of coming to do the final report, that it was kind of like, the MS Trust wanted us to write the introduction.
Yeah.
And it was, so it was like, we were almost kind of like, leading on the report. People opened the report, and it was the three of our faces that were there saying this is the project, rather than it being the corporate.
Yeah.
Which was, I think it was super positive for the involvement of the community, but I think it actually was a real turning point for involvement, which was brilliant.
Shall we chat a little bit about the work that you do in the MS Trust Facebook group?
Yeah, so I've got the moderator title. So it's just really I just kind of keep a bit of an eye on things, make sure that the rules are being followed. I know not everybody likes rules, but you've got to have your rules, and so just to make sure that we're keeping to that, make sure that if anybody is just being a little bit maybe a little bit rude or a bit offensive or that we just kind of just moderate things in, so that discussions can continue in a sort of friendly manner. I try to make sure that the posts are being answered if somebody's put something. So there might be something I might have seen a post and think, well, it doesn't apply to me. But if I check back a bit later or I see it a bit later and nobody's really engaged with that post, then I'll try and put something on to try and sort of get a bit of involvement. Obviously, if people are reporting posts, we don't get very many reported, but sort of acting on that, and certainly removing. There are loads of these miracle cures that try to invade the group. So sort of deleting all of those, and I have to say the group are fabulous at reporting them. So although we try not to let them on, don't we? But they still get there.
Oh, they're sneaky.
Yeah, they're sneaky, and they appear. And I would say the group are fabulous at reporting those and then trying to get rid of those. And so that's really kind of what I try to do. And I have to say that it gives me an excuse to be on Facebook.
How long do you know how long you've been a member of the group before you became a moderator?
Years.
Yeah.
Definitely years. I don't, and actually I think I became a member of the group around the time of that I engaged with the Forview project, because before the Forview project I wasn't doing much online at all. I think when I'd been working, I didn't really have time to be. Working was really hard for me. It took an awful lot of energy, and so I didn't have a lot of spare energy outside of work for doing things. So it was only really after I finished work that I started having the energy to do to have a social life, really.
For people who don't really know about the Facebook group, I guess this is a group. It was one of the first things that I set up when I joined the MS Trust. It was back in 2007. So it's almost like a pensioner, I would say, in Facebook years, because it's been around for a long time. And we try to encourage people to ask questions about MS and sort of talk about life with MS. But then also we have the people from our helpline popping in to answer questions. So one of the things that I do is I go through the posts and I send them on to the helpline people. And we also have some other volunteers that now look at it on weekends and evenings to also try to sort of respond to the questions, or if there's an issue, try and send them on to the helpline team. So it's a big old project that a lot of us at the MS Trust is involved in, and we do really appreciate the work that you do in the group, Caroline, because you're amazing in the way that you respond to people and always try to reassure people who are worried, because there's a lot of people that pop up onto the group that are feeling quite worried about potentially having MS, or they might just have gotten a new diagnosis, or something might have changed. There's a new symptom. I mean, there's all sorts of questions, aren't there?
Well, we all have so many questions, and there's so many times that you just have a little nagging doubt, and it's a brilliant place that you can just go and say, is this normal?
Yeah.
Does this happen? What should I do? Should I? And I think something that comes up a lot is, should I speak to my MS nurse? And and so people are just wanting to get a bit of support. And I do think it's amazingly supportive.
Yeah.
And I think even just reading through the posts, you learn something.
Yeah.
Even if you're not actually asking a question, you're still learning, and even the little things that I think some of us take for, it's sort of like, well, yes, you see a physio.
Yeah.
But how do you get to see a physio?
Exactly.
People don't know. And, I mean, obviously my background in the NHS, I kind of do know those sorts of things, but people don't know that. And so just to say, well, actually, your GP can refer you to a neurophysio, that's just the answer to the question that a lot of people want to know. And they don't necessarily need to bother their MS nurse to be told, well, actually, I mean, some MS nurses can refer you as well, but you don't necessarily need to do it. There's ways around it, but people don't know.
Yeah.
And people struggle on when actually there's help out there that you don't know about.
Exactly. And I mean, I've been diagnosed for quite a long time, and I still find that the group is really useful when it comes to people talking about symptoms, because there's still, every year there's a new symptom that I've not really realized that, oh, is that actually MS? I do get that. And I'd never really associated it with being MS, but yeah.
And it's invaluable. And you get to, you feel that you know a lot of the people on there.
Yeah.
That's the thing, you have that connection with them, because it's obviously, yes, there's new people coming along, but you make connections with people on there, and there's certainly sort of people that I now chat to outside of the group and everything. So it's lovely.
I think it's a part I really enjoy with my job, and I do think it's really, and again, it's so important to ask the MS community about things. So we do pop up questions. If we have a question within the MS Trust that we think, well, actually, we would love to know what some people with MS think about this, we pop it in the group and then get some feedback. And I think it's so important to know what's going on. Every time we have somebody new starting at the MS Trust, I always say, go and join the Facebook group and learn about people with MS, because this is what people with MS will be talking about. This is the current concerns and what's going on and I think it's invaluable, really.
And it's really empowering, I think, when you see that, yes, you've put a question on, or you've put a survey on, or something like so the things that there's been the things about transport and travel and everything, that, and then you kind of see in the sort of finished document, or in the campaign around that, you can see some of the comments or thoughts that you've read in the group that have been taken forward, and then that I think gives the community that sense that we're being listened to. So it kind of feeds all through, and just boosts the sort of the, I suppose, the kudos of the group as well, because it's just like, as a community, we're being listened to, and it's a space. It is a space to have a bit of a rant when you need to, but it's a space that does help to get our point of view across.
So I suppose this has covered a little bit of the question I was going to ask you next. But how do you feel that what do you feel that you get out of the volunteering?
Yeah, I mean, I feel. I mean, I suppose the big thing, it makes me feel useful. I spent 23 years in the NHS, so helping people, and that was what I did. It was what why I went into the NHS and everything. So it was in my whole thing, and it was a big thing when I couldn't do it anymore, when I had to stop doing that. So this kind of gives me a bit of makes me feel useful, makes me feel that I can actually help with the community in a limited way now that I can't work. So that's my big thing. But I learn, and it does help me in my MS journey as well. And then, you know, when you get sort of something, obviously, you know, sort of something like this, and you award me this, and I think, oh, you know, it's really nice to be appreciated and to feel that what I'm doing actually is helping and not interfering. Sometimes I think I'm being interfering, but you know, and so that's.
How do you feel like the MS Trust have supported you through the volunteering?
I really feel that you're always there, that you've sort of got my back in a way that it's not just sort of me. I know that there's support. You know, yes, I can contact the helpline. I've got everybody's emails. We you know, have our own little group to raise issues on, but there's always a response. You know, I don't ever feel that I'm sort of left on my own. I mean, I would have to say, I think a lot of you go above and beyond your sort of, you know, you're certainly above and beyond your paid hours, because I tend, if there's something I sort of think, oh, I must raise that, then I will sort of raise it there and then, because otherwise you know, if I think, oh, I'll do it, you know, on Monday, and this is a Saturday, by Monday I've forgotten. So I will sort of put it on there and then, and 9 times out of 10, one of you will get back to me, even though it's the weekend or whatever. So I think you're going above and beyond what you should be doing, which is really brilliant. And I think that's a real positive about volunteering for the MS Trust, that no matter what I've been doing, whether it's on the group, with the Forward View project, with, you know, writing blogs, whatever, there is always support and help and guidance from whichever member of staff I've been you know, sort of working with or anything. And it's always so so nice, and you just feel so, you know, so part of the organization. It's not sort of like, oh, the staff and the volunteers. It's very much, you know, a working community, and we all sort of, yeah, sharing and you know, supporting each other. It's brilliant.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like for my work, you're a huge part of the team. So I don't think I could do it without you, Karen.
Thank you very much.
We also do a little bit of training recently.
Yes.
Yes.
So I've done safeguarding training.
Yeah.
Recently, which was really nice to do it and to see it, and from a slightly different angle. So it's obviously working in the NHS, you've done sort of, you know, but it was very different. Actually, it was very different. So it makes you think about it from a slightly different angle. But yes, it's, you know, whenever an issue comes up, or as people are working through things and sort of think, oh yeah, we need to make sure that the volunteers are trained in whatever, then you get on and you train or provide the training of that I think we all need, and you provide the groups for the volunteers to get together as well, so that, you know, we can all get support each other.
That's the important part, isn't it? Because quite often when you might spot some safeguarding issue, you might not completely, even though we've had the training, you might not always be sure that, oh, this is an issue. It's always nice to have that group to talk to people and sort of say, well, actually, I'm a little bit worried here. And then people can sort of chime in with their opinion.
And yeah, what are we supposed to do? Because it's very, very different dealing with issues like that in a group.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're face to face with somebody, or, you know, and you know where they are, but you're dealing with people in a group, you don't know where they are.
No, exactly.
You don't know where they live. You don't even necessarily know which country they're in. I suppose that's the very nature of Facebook, isn't it? You don't know these things, and it's so yes, it does make it difficult. But I would have to say, with safeguarding, you know, when somebody has had a bit of a sad day and has posted something about that, I think the group have always come together, supporting that, you know, the person who has just had a bit of a sad day, and then you know, yeah, that, and it's always nice to see that then, you know, the person will come back and, oh, thank you for that, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
And that people have, and I do think that's where the group it as a whole is being very supportive of the community. But then, you know, yeah, obviously you've got, as moderators, admins, you've got more of a role, and I think you do, it's really good to see that's taken seriously, and that your support, you know, so yeah, doing the training was really insightful for me and really made me think.
I do feel like the group has been brilliant. I love the fact that often people will check back a few days later and will say, how is it today? Are you feeling any better? And this is just the kindness of strangers, isn't it? But,
yeah. Or sort of, you know, or you must have had your appointment by now. How did it go?
Yeah.
And it's nice when you see somebody who comes on quite stressed from diagnosis, which, you know, totally understandable, and how they kind of settle,
yeah,
you know, and so over the months that they just kind of get, I suppose, and we've all been there, you get to grips with it, and you just sort of calm down and accept what it is. It's, you know, and it's nice to see as well people who start off posting a lot of questions, then moving into more comments and sharing their experience, still asking questions, but not, you know, not as many. I think we sort of move from always asking questions to actually sharing our experiences, and that's I think the beauty of it. It's that safe space to do that.
What do you like most about volunteering?
I think I've said before, it gives me something to do.
Yeah.
It gives me an excuse to be on Facebook. Not that I need much of an excuse from half my life, but it's that it does make you feel useful, makes you feel sort of valued. And I think as well, when I say to people, like, so when I go to my appointments with my MS nurse or whatever, and you know, so, oh, what are you up to? And I say, oh, I volunteer for the MS Trust, and they'll go, oh, that's a brilliant thing to do. And so it's, you know, it's a really good. So yeah, that's what I sort of get out of it. Just gives me a little bit of a buzz and a little bit of a, you know, I'm still useful.
So you would recommend for people to get into volunteering?
Oh, definitely, because you can do as much or as little, and certainly now with all this technology, you don't need to leave your sofa. You know, so when you can't leave, or you don't even need to leave your bed. I mean, let's face it, you don't even need to be dressed, do you now? It's sort of so yeah, I think it's a really valuable thing, and it just keeps you engaged with the world.
We put a lot of things onto the MS Trust website. If anybody wants to have a look, I will put the little links in the description of this video as well. But we're always looking for people to help us review our written content as well, because like you said at the start, there is so important to have the input of the MS community on anything that we produce.
Yeah, and it, you know, and I mean, I've done a bit of reviewing of things, and I think you learn things reading through it, and you and things, if you haven't looked at something for a while and then you see it again, you suddenly think, oh yeah, that's important. So you know, you'll always sort of learn things, and it doesn't have to take a long time. And something like you know, reviewing things, where you might do something now and then you might not do anything else for 6 months or whatever. And you can, and if you ask, if you say, well, would you look at this, and you're like, oh, I'm too busy, or no, I haven't got the energy at the moment, that's fine. You'll still get asked again in the future. It's not oh, well, if you've said no to one thing, you'll never get approached again. Of course you will. And everybody understands, and I think that's always the thing. So I would say go for it. It's really nice, and the big thing, I mean, yes, it's good for you, but it actually helps shape services or advice or whatever for the community, and that is invaluable.
I have one last question for you. Have you got any advice for other people with MS that you would like to share?
I think my big thing is just to remember that we're all different, and you know, just, I mean, we all know just because somebody does doesn't mean that you have to, but embrace that uniqueness and just get on and live your life. Don't dwell on what may or may not happen. Just get on, live your life, do what you can while you can, and that way you kind of just get through it.
Thank you so much, Caroline, for chatting to me, and thank you so much for everything you do. You are an invaluable member of the team.
Thank you, Eleanor. It's been great.